What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the fall and what we got left for games. I feel like the fall season has really been set over the last couple of days with the Nintendo Direct and just, everything besides maybe like 3 or 4 games. There's still technically a few that don't have dates, and we'll go over that in this video. I like to throw these videos together every now and then just because, the excitement kind of builds and gets so high, and there's so much I could talk about. It's like, well, why don't we just talk about kind of it all, a scatterbrain style, right? So, with the Nintendo Direct, we got Metroid 4, and so that's very, very exciting, and really, it serves two different things, right? Number one, it is the last major game of 2025 to me. This was a game that I was always going to get no matter when it came out. As I got closer and closer with no date, it's like, well, you got to have it come out the very end of this year. If not, it's going to get pushed into next year, right? So there's still technically a few more. Mouse PI for Hire is one, Mixtape is another, Dispatch is another, and then Marvel Cosmic Invasion. So there's a couple of them, and honestly, all the ones I listed, like if any of them managed to squeeze into this year, which I do think the Marvel game is supposed to, at least, which feels like a December game, by the way. I would get all of those, right? But really, with Metroid locking that in, there's your fall. And you added a couple, like you got the Mario Galaxy collection all of a sudden, and great games, game of the year type games, game of the generation type games, not a great price and not a great time to come out, same day as Ghost of Yote and a day before Digimon, right? So, with that, though, you really have it entirely set. But I'm just pumped. You got the games like Silent Hill, you got the Final Fantasy Tactics of the world, and, I've talked about in the past, like I've created a list, okay, of just games that I hope go on sale for like Black Friday, because at this point there's so many games. There's even games like Metal Gear Delta, and I got it like the day after it came out, and I still haven't played it yet because these games are starting to pile up and I can't beat them fast enough for like another one to come out that they stack too quickly. So there's all these games coming out. I got a Black Friday list of like the Demon Slayers of the world, Borderlands 4, Trails in the Sky, and those are games that, like Trails and Final Fantasy I've talked about in the past. These are games I'm so excited for, and I mean that genuinely, and maybe people wouldn't believe me because you say, well, you're so excited for it, and yet you don't get it day one. I think you can be excited for a game, but say, you know what? There's no time. There's no potential way that I can actually play. Trails comes out now-ish, and, you have Dying Light the Beast coming out this Friday or Thursday. It got moved up a day, thank God. That's going to make a big difference. And then, Final Fantasy Tactics, like that's what I'm super excited for. But because of Silent Hill, because of Dying Light, because of Ghost of Yote, and I've talked about that with Digimon. Digimon looks like an incredible game. Looks like maybe the biggest Digimon game we've ever gotten in our lives. And it's like it comes out a day after Ghost of Yote, and then a week before Battlefield and Little Nightmares. I will say, one thing I'm very excited for is the dead period. It's interesting because, you wait all year for like new games to come out, and sometimes they come out in groups, right? Like there'll be 3 weeks in a row where a game comes out. And then you could have 2 or 3 weeks where no games come out. And I would really say like a good amount of this year was like that. Back, forth. And I don't actually mind it. I've kind of learned to, kind of settle where it's like I can be excited for like 30 games at one time, which I am. But then I also very much look forward to the dead time because with all the games coming out, you have to have time to actually, play them. And I think that's November. November just has very, very, I think SpongeBob is quite literally the only game that I would get in November, and then Metroid is the only game I would get in December. So, looking at the Mouse PI and Marvel and all that stuff, I think if some of those fell in November and December, that would be fine because there's just not a lot there. But at the same time, I think that's good because November, if I'm going to get like 3 to 6 games for Black Friday, I need time to play them. That's that late November, early December. But let me throw this in too, just before we end the video. It's not just the game releases, like over the next, like I said, I'd say in the next like 5 weeks. The next 5 weeks is the ultimate gauntlet. Like there is maybe 8-ish games that are coming out, maybe even more, maybe like 10 games in the next 5 weeks, which is too many, but again, that's what Black Friday and waiting for sales and discounts, that's what that's for. But you have all those games, and then you have a, more dead period, but you also still got a couple presentations, at the time I'm recording this, there's still the rumors of the State of Play. probably next week, and then next week is Tokyo Game Show. The RGG Summit, maybe like Stranger Than Heaven or a Yakuza game, like that's coming up. And then even going to Tokyo Game Show, Konami is supposed to announce a couple things. Sega/Atlas is supposed to announce like 3-4 games. Like there's quite a bit you can do there. There's always the 1% hope of like Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy VII Part 3, or like a Persona. All of those combined equal like a 1% odd, by the way. And then of course you have the Game Awards, right? And I like that. I like how that kind of works because November is the dead period, at least right now, where there's just not a lot of games coming out. But then it's going to be that build up, because then December, whatever it is, 8th, 10th, whenever the Game Awards is, then you're going to get hit, with your 10 big announcements, and that kind of fills that early December period. And, we could go further, but I'll stop at, 2025. I mean, 2026 comes in freaking hot. I mean, with Resident Evil at the very end of February, like that's pretty. I mean, yes, it's like 2 months in, but it's only 2 months into the new year. Like that is pretty darn good, and there's a lot of games coming out next year, even beyond GTA, of course, right? But there's a lot. Scream 7 for me, being a film guy as well, or just a Scream fan, actually. Scratch the film part. But, there's a lot happening. But these next, like I said, man, these next 5-6 weeks, like this is the ultimate gauntlet, and then we get a break. But that break is really, okay, play the games that you just bought and play the games that you missed, because there's more games to buy even afterwards. So I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.